name is Kalia Porter, and I recently studied abroad at the National University of Singapore, and today is a continuation of my series where I talk about my experiences, what I learned, all of that fun stuff. So today I'm going to talk about just my experience at NUS, in Singapore in general, and then some travel tips and just general tips of things I learned while I was there. So hopefully this helps you guys, but if you have any more questions, feel free to comment those down below and I will make more videos and answer all of your burning questions. Starting with the classes I took a total of 5 classes, but they were relatively less time consuming because they were lower division classes. I took a language class, so I took Chinese 1, which I would say was probably one of the more time consuming classes. So just so you know, if you take a language, it is gonna take a lot of work, but I think it was very, very rewarding. I also took a Bollywood film class, so it was called Framing Bollywood Unpacking the Magic, and I had never watched a Bollywood film before taking this class, but it was so interesting. I feel like I learned a lot about just like the way the Bollywood film industry is. Just a lot about like politics in India as well, different pop culture and how that works in like on the screen, and also how that feeds into real life. It was really interesting, and we also watched a lot of Bollywood films. So good. My favorite was PK, personally. I was watching it in one of like the study areas at UTown, and I literally cried. I was sobbing. Everyone else was studying around me, and I was just like at the ERC, just sobbing because it was so, the ending is so good. So if you are curious about Bollywood film or really into Bollywood film, I think it was a really good class, and the lecturer was just, she was amazing. I feel like every class was structured very well and very insightful. And me personally, I love when I go to a lecture and I feel like I've gained something, and that's the one thing I will definitely say about NUS is that the professors are very high quality, and every lecture that I've been to, I felt like I got something out of it. Not to throw any shade to UCSD, I think most of my professors have been so good there and so amazing. But there are those classes that can be kind of hit or miss, and sometimes the lectures aren't actually very interesting. So I will say, from my experience at NUS, the lectures have been very solid. These next 3 classes were all taken at the YST Conservatory of Music. So these are more music courses if you're interested in that. But I took Introduction to Classical Music Composition, Exploration in Musical Production, and then a course with the Audio Arts and Sciences cohort called Multi-Track Recording Techniques. Introduction to Classical Music Composition was definitely, I would say, have some basic knowledge of music theory and that kind of thing before taking the class, because it is pretty fast-paced, even on semester schedule. But it's really cool. You get to compose your own music and work on different forms, and I thought that was really interesting. My impression of the YST Conservatory of Music and kind of their genre is more traditional, more classically trained, is the energy I get from their music program, which I think is really cool. Like, watching the chamber orchestra perform was amazing. They're so talented. The musicians are so good. But it definitely was a contrast from my program at my home university, which is more experimental and like going out of the boundaries and everything. So I think it brought some good structure to my music making overall, just with the classes. But yeah, that's just something to know if you're interested in music. Another class I took was Exploration in Musical Production, and that one, because I'm a theater kid at heart, so I really like that class just because we get to make a 10-minute musical, and it's just like the whole process of writing the script, writing the music, composing the music, and then performing it. So you kind of have your foot in every door. You get to like dip your toes in all the waters. I don't know what these phrases are, but you get what I'm saying. It was really cool because I think I like to do a little bit of everything, and so I found myself devoting a lot of time to that class. And then at the end you get to perform it for the class, and it's cool and fun. I also took multi-track recording techniques, and I would say this one is the most like technical music audio engineering class that I took. This one was with their audio arts and sciences cohort, and yeah, I will say when I first walked in I was so nervous because I was the only exchange student and it was a group of like 6 people. So I felt like, oh, this is a very tight-knit community, and it's also like I need to be on my A game as well because I can't really hide behind anyone during like the studio sessions and everything. But I thought this was really helpful to just like learning new technology, learning different mic positions, and just making my technical skill better. We did studio sessions throughout the semester, and we also had to work concert shifts for the conservatory. For these courses as well, because I didn't get approved at first when I first applied, I reached out to the professor and the TA to see if I was qualified enough for the class and if I could take it, and so luckily they were able to approve me. So if you're kind of in that position of you don't know if you're able to get into a course, I definitely recommend reach out to the professor, see if you're able to have them make an exception for you, telling them about your experience and everything. It worked out for me, which is really awesome, and I'm so glad that I got that helpful experience. So that's my recommendation. One more thing I will say about classes and studying at NUS is that everyone is very locked in. Everyone is very focused. They are studying. They are doing the things that they need to get the good grades in their classes because it's a really good school and people worked really hard to be there. As an exchange student, of course, it's a little bit different because you can take it a little bit easier. But I will say that I did spend a lot of time studying, making sure I was on top of my work, and balancing that with traveling and also experiencing Singapore, having fun. So just so you know, it is less of like a party environment. It's more focused. That's the study part of study abroad. I'm gonna go over some helpful applications that you might need while you are studying abroad. Specifically if you are at NUS. So these are NUS specific like applications to know. The first one is NUS Mods. This is their database with all of the classes, class times. This is where you look at your timetable and everything. This is where you see what classes are offered, in what semester you're going to. Yeah, that was mainly, it's kind of course scheduling and that kind of thing. So that's really helpful. There's also the Univis app, I think that's how it's pronounced. I think it's supposed to be Universe, but like NUS, which, okay, period. I mainly used it for my student card. So like if you needed to load your student card on there, you do that. Oh, another thing with that app that's really useful is reserving study spaces. So there's like an application called Chope. This is how you like chope a spot or reserve a spot to study at any of the study spaces and like libraries. So definitely do that because people are on it. Like I would usually do it the night before at the ERC because that's super close to UTown, or like Central Library, something like that. You just reserve a time slot. You have a limited amount of slots, and then you can study there and not worry about if you're gonna find a spot. So that's really cool. Those are the main things that I use, but I know there's other applications inside that app that might be useful to you as well. But that's kind of the main 2 apps. And then there's also one more. It's called NUS Next Bus. And this is for the shuttle buses that run around campus. These are free for students that go to NUS, and this app just helps you figure out when the bus is coming, where the routes are, and it's really helpful, especially if you don't want to walk all around campus. I will say, that the NUS campus is so confusing. It is so, oh my god. If you go to NUS and you're thinking, oh, maybe I don't need to find my classes before I go to class, I will advise you to, on the first, okay, real talk. The campus is just so confusing, and you might need to, it might be helpful to figure out where your classes are either before school starts or just leave early before your class just to know where you're gonna be, or give yourself some time in case you get lost. Because the amount of times I have gotten lost on that campus is crazy. And I'm from UC San Diego. We have a really confusing campus. I will say the signage is good. Like, you can just like try following the signs to get to your class. But the problem is there are a lot of like complexes and buildings that don't make sense. For example, the Arts and Social Sciences building. What are we doing? Why am I walking on, I'll be walking on the same level and it'll be like level 5 for one building and level 3 for another. The levels don't match up, the pathways are winding, like you're climbing 10 different staircases to get to your class. It can be very confusing at first to get a handle of, but I will say after the first few weeks of getting accustomed and finding my classes, then it was like, okay, I know where I'm going. But yeah, just give yourself some time and grace to figure out where you are on campus, and if you get lost, just know you're not alone, okay? I was there too. Next, these apps are just kind of general, helpful apps that I've used. The first one is Grab. So if you are from the United States and you use Uber a lot, Grab is basically Uber, but in Asia. And it's just really helpful to have it because you never know when you're gonna need a Grab somewhere. So definitely have that. They use that instead of Uber. For most of the places that I went to, I know that Taiwan uses Uber. For Singapore specifically, Grab is the way to go. Also, Telegram. Telegram is a messaging app that at NUS, a lot of people use it, and there's a lot of different groups that will have events, or if you just want to connect with people at the school, they use Telegram a lot. I'm not exactly sure why, but definitely have that. As an American, we use SMS, and I didn't realize that was embarrassing to the rest of the world, but basically everyone else uses WhatsApp, and I will agree with the WhatsApp hype. I agree that it's a good app, and like you don't need to worry about FaceTiming and messaging photos and quality getting lost. I feel like you can message anyone's phone and there's no problem with the group chats, there's no problem with calling people. It's very just like streamlined, which I appreciate because as an iPhone user, I hate when we're bullying other phones for just being a different brand, because iPhone won't be compatible with other phones. So I like WhatsApp. I'm a big fan. The only thing I will say is if you are transferring your WhatsApp data to another phone, be very careful, because I tried to do it and all of my WhatsApp data got deleted. It's okay. It's a loss, but we recover. So those are the apps that I think were useful for me. Sorry this is so abrupt, but my video was so long that we're gonna have to make this multiple parts. So this is the end of the first part, but I will see you in the next video. Thank you guys so much for watching this video. I hope you gained some information out of it, and hopefully this is helpful for your study abroad program. If you have any more questions, feel free to ask, and I will see you in the next one. Bye!